let's start. Welcome. I hope everyone's going well tonight. Tonight it's going to be a short stream. What I actually want to do is I want to improve this screen. Hey Nocturnal, how are you? I think daylight savings ends. Is it this weekend? Oh god, it ends this weekend. All right. I'll let you feed the cats straight away. So next week I should be on later, I think, if memory serves me correctly, of how this all goes, because we're going back 1 hour. I'm still in bed. Fair enough. It's getting a bit cold here, so Socks is all wrapped up in herself at the moment. It's getting to that point where I'm like, the heater might turn on soon. So what is the Melbourne weather going to be like for the next week? Oh, I don't know, 19, 20, 17. 17 is going to be a bit cold on the Saturday, but that's fine. All right, so it's low 20s. That's fine. Yeah. You gonna hop back into bed? There you go. All right, let's get back into it. So today's task is to essentially simplify this. I'm probably going to rip out the between dates and actually have them actually in the widget that itself instead of using the component between dates, just because there's a lot of stuff I want to actually do to it, and I think having it just becomes even though it's similar, it just becomes so different to the original component that it's easier just to pull it out. The other thing is I'm going to get rid of this and actually key it in here. And the next thing is any description or misc and downtime sort of stuff, I'm just going to remove completely. And the reason being is it's optional and it's clogging up this screen. So the idea with this particular screen is to be as quick as possible, inserting all the new change tasks and getting it over and done with. So let's get started. Okay. Now, this is still the old run item, which that will eventually get changed to change task. But at the moment, still the old naming convention. So, first things first, let's actually... So, we want to actually remove this because... yeah, we essentially don't want it to, we want our own thing that does its own checks and so forth like that. Implementation of QA users, yes, that's still what we want. Description optional and misc sort of stuff. We don't want any of that, and that won't work. I'm just gonna bang, and bang, I'm gonna hit save. Wait a few seconds, hit reload, hit change task. So now we've got it down to, the idea is that we'll re-implement this very quickly. Just 3 items. So the person can pick the date, the start and end date, with this being the restriction of the start and end time. And I'm just wondering if, for example, if someone keeps adding stuff in and that end time keeps extending, it might actually be an idea to actually allow the user to extend it, and it just automatically updates this time. We'll also need to key in information like when someone changes the implementation start, do they want to actually change it so that it doesn't for the implementation end and the release date, and also for the run task items, and updates all of them all at once. So that way the user doesn't need to go through and update everything. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of checks on here. Okay, so first things first, let's bring back in the between dates. What we could potentially do is first off, we won't need this, and we won't need this. But what we do need to do is we need to copy the basic layout. We really don't need to change the layout much. So dates, between dates. So we'll just copy this. We'll just paste it in. Like so. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. My mouse is just playing up. I'll also put the camera back. Oh, hold on. Ah! There we go. All right. There. Cool. Mouse is moving around. So the template's going to get rather large here, especially with the comments out code and so forth like that. There's not much I can do about that apart from just deleting all the comments out code. Another good thing is I can actually have custom text instructions here, which would be good. So instead of between dates, actually of the change task. Please note the end date cannot be earlier than the start date. All right. Please note the end date cannot be earlier than the start date, and the start time has to be within the RFC's start and end date. Between this information is shown below the dates. Okay. All right, I've broken something straight away. That's fine. Straight away, we are just getting rid of this, and we're getting rid of this. I'm going to say, let's get rid of the span. For the moment, we can put in something better later. And we have end date picker. So we need to go down here and just go end date picker. From down here, we got to put it in here. That should fix that up. Get rid of the between dates. Delete all that. And we can start deleting some of this data as it's no longer needed. So, for example, the change stakeholder modal is not needed anymore. Yeah, it's not needed anymore. Start date, change title, yep. QA user, yep. Assigned user, yep. Change description, yep, that can go. End date is needed, downtime is not needed, change start date. Modal, yep, that's fine. So what we want to do, get rid of that. Downtime we don't need, QA user we do need, assigned user, tasks, change task seconds. Description is not needed. That's needed. Okay, cool. That's not needed. That's not needed. That's not needed. All right. Waiting a couple of seconds, hitting reload. Start date disabled, but not defined. Let's actually have a look at that. Is date disabled? Don't need it. Once again, we'll fix all this up. Don't need it. And we'll actually be updating these to the proper ones. So that would be start date model. This will be end date model. Okay. So there's a lot of work to do with this. So we got this up and running, which is great, but we've still got a lot of errors. Non-emits event listener update values were passed to component but could not automatically inherit because some components all right. So we just got to go through and clean up my code now. Ow. Okay, text instructions, change task title, that one's fine. This one we actually do want to get rid of. Mainly because we want to actually show this information under here. So we're just going to comment it out for the moment, but we're leaving it in for the moment to reference it when we actually write the stuff down here. You'll see this is a form group. We can potentially put another label underneath. And I think we only need to do it for the start one. All right. Implement QA user and so forth like that. That's fine. There's a bunch of methods in here which probably format date. Format date we still need. Is downtime we don't need. Submit change tasks we do need. Update dates we don't need. And mounted user list equals, yep, all right, cool. Oops, sorry, gotta reload. Start date model was accessed during render but not defined on instance. All right, let's have a look. We've got it called change. Yeah. All right, not a problem. We can fix that very quickly. Waiting a few seconds for it to compile. Bang, bang, bang. We've got a 403. Valid time. All right, let's just undo all of that. So it's saying this is an invalid time, which I do believe it is. Let's have a look at between dates. So let's see, mounted emit dates. All right, cool. Emits it upstream. Let's have a look at what the dates are set by default. So we've got our props, but we want our data. Validations data. So return local end date model, sys.end date model. So that's fed downstream. It's defaulted here. Okay. So we've got a problem. It doesn't like the variable because of this. So what I'm going to propose is having it so it's default. We got it as a default. And that default will be the start time of the start time of the RSC. Sorry, I've just got to think about this out loud. So when it mounts, I will make it that, but then we want to change that. All right. So there's a lot of parts moving at the moment. So let's go to the RFC runtime. Let's see with the props. So we've got location and user list. What we want is the RFC start date. Socks? No. No, that's stuck there for a reason. In your bed. There you go. Yes. Sorry, Socks is trying to knock over some papers. Are you thinking code at the same time you're solving the Rubik's Cube? I'm not really thinking too much about the Rubik's Cube. It just helps me fiddle. But yes, I'm thinking about code when solving the Rubik's Cube. Specifically, how I want this to work. So I'm trying to get something as elegant as possible that makes sense so that if other people read it, they'll be like, oh, okay, yep, I see what's happening here. So with the RFC new runtime item, what I want to do is let's comment out this section first so I can visually show people. It's the start date, time, suggested one, or the actual call one. So I am thinking when this mounts up, I should do either one of two things. Grab the last change task and grab the last time from there. Or, whoops, didn't mean to actually click on that. Or grab the implementation start time from here. And I'm just trying to think how people would use the system. There could be cases where people start putting in some items and later down the track they change it and so forth like that. I think having it matching the implementation start of the RFC at when it's mounted would be best. And then going forward, if they keep adding in new change tasks, have it actually update that start date to the last to the end date of the last task submitted. The reason why I'm not doing the having it actually grab this change task and so forth like that is because when we reload, you'll notice that there was a split second where it didn't have that data. So yeah, I'm gonna push down the implementation date. I think that will be the easiest solution. So yeah. So first off is let's see what is above this, because we might need to use the VueJS, or we might be able to have it down. We've got RFC modules. We do actually have the RFC results at the RFC modules, so that should easily be able to push down that into the run sheet without a problem. So if we click on RFC results, open up the fields, we've got the RFC implementation start date. So we're going to copy that. We're going to have this up here, have this like this. Type. I don't think there is one for date time, is there? Date time. No. You might want to have multiple tasks running at the same time. One could be in QA and the other. Yes, I won't be stopping people from doing that. Or maybe someone else did the task and you realized you could both do it in one. Yep, definitely. So for example, backing up the database and notifying the clients that the RFC has started is something you would do in parallel. Okay. So you're saying that the start time being at the end time would not be good. Yeah, all right. I'm just thinking of people who would be just adding them in one after another each step. And that way it just sort of layers them out. So, yeah. Now I've got to figure out what this type is. So in between dates, it's a number. Right. The default will be, at the moment, we're going to say 0. Yeah, no, I agree. There are a lot of tasks that will be in parallel. Especially in these sort of things, like backing up the database and notifying people is the easiest sort of one, which I come across constantly. But you might be having someone do something else and another team do something else, and they both need to converge at one particular point, which can happen. So yeah, I see your point. I mean, what I could easily do is when someone adds it in, it just keeps the last start and end date. And that requires me doing no code at all. Might be better just set the start time until it's started, then do the current time. Might be better to just set it to the start time of the RFC until started, then to the current time. Until start at RFC is fascinating. Usually with the RFCs, you tend to actually have a specific time when people are starting at a certain task. And the idea is to make sure people don't start their task before they're meant to, which could interrupt other people. So that's the idea of this, why it's got start times. And usually when I had to do them, it was very, very strict. I usually had contingency time put in it, just in case. All right, RFC implementation start date at default 0. So that will be fine coming down with a default of 0. We don't need to do any fancy stuff like any of this, because we'll get that data. And just because we've got to be consistent, RFC implementation start date. So when it mounts, actually we don't need to do it on the mounts, we just need to do it on the props, the data. So that will equal that, and then this will equal this plus, now we might give 15 minutes, so 15 times, so that's in milliseconds, so 1,000 times 60. So let's hope this works. No, a 403. That's meant to be this. What I've done now, can't access property of undefined. But I've got a default. All right, not a problem. Let's jump into it. So RFC test plan. We've got the RFC test plan. I'm putting this on the right one, aren't I? RFC new run items. So we want RFC run sheet. RFC end dates are the view bindings. Oh, I've got the data right there. I don't need to do anything special. Get end date, get start date, and get, okay. Okay, so I can get rid of this. RFC start date. RFC start date. And we're going to find out why these are undefined at the moment. So we need to jump into the Vuex. We've got RFC. We've got the end date model. We've got the start date model. And it might be because oop, didn't mean to click on that. Shoot. Back. It's not even getting the root URL, which is right there. Okay, so I'm going to default this to 0 and 0. I'm going, so that's fine. All of that's commented out. We're just ignoring that for the moment. Going to hit reload. Going to hit our console. We're going to find out what's going wrong. Now, it's using embeds option. All right, I don't know why this is showing. But we'll figure it out later. In here, let's jump into the components. Yep. So we don't want add wizard. We don't want this. We want the list, sheet list. All right. And if we expand it, root URL and user leveler are there. If we click on this, the end dates are there and they're all fine. All right, that is good news. So we'll keep these as 0. What I'll do is I'll put an update times here. So this dot change end date model equals this dot start RFC start date plus be 15 times 1000 times 60. We're just testing it with that. We'd wait a couple of seconds, hit reload. RFC run item, so yeah, it worked there. I think it didn't like it when it was, if we just copy that, and we go up to definition itself, and if we just remove that, like that, I think it didn't like it up here because the VueJS, yeah, the VueJS mustn't be finished yet. So it has to be done in the mounted. This dot change start date model equals this dot RFC start date, and then that should be fine. Update the user lists, fixed list. We won't need the update dates. Just wait a second or two. We just hit reload. I will need to key back in the dates. So that's just me going up here and just no. All right, wait a couple of seconds. It didn't default. Ah. Wait a few seconds. There I go. And 15 minutes in the future. All right, sweet. And then, yeah. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is put in somewhere in here a notification when the RFC start date is and the RFC end date. And then if this goes past it, flag it. Or just make it appear. So if, let's say someone's like, all right, let's actually start this yesterday. It'll come up with a little warning. Being like, hey, that's not possible. We really should be only doing that with the start date. With the end date, like I said, if what I'll do is I'll get it so that if the end date keeps passing that date, it just extends it. Oh, am I dropping frames? Hopefully not. I think I just dropped a couple of frames, sorry. Okay, so those are working. And we just need to format the date. So I'm just going to put in a little div class equals alert danger. Start time cannot be before the RFC start time. Just going to leave that in. I'm terrible developer, but I feel like AI has opened up the gates of hell for me. If I use, for example, ChatGPT 4's API, am I able to sell content that it generates? I am not sure. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't know at what point who owns that code. But it's also one of those sort of things like, for example, I'm just thinking of a good example of neon lights effect. So for example, if you're creating a web page and stuff like that, I don't want to use this particular site as an example, but let's say you're looking up CSS neon lights effect. Let's say someone gives you a specific green, and they're like, all right, I want this neon lights effect and stuff like that. If you go in here and let's say you modify this code to get that effect, who owns that code? But also at the same time, someone else could have easily come in who just had that bit of more knowledge, come in and easily create this effect without having to look up this site whatsoever and still get that same thing. It is a confusing situation. Once again, I wouldn't have a clue. Sorry, I just don't have an answer. All right, so with this, it's all bunched up in here like this. I'm gonna actually put it on probably the line below so it goes all the way across. I will also make it so if someone changes the end date, it will be like, please note, end date will be updated. So let's just pull this out. So that's column 4. Still column 4. So I just need to think. Might need to stick that in a row. So many ideas. Yes, people could do it themselves, but this is true with so many other cases. I mean, let's say you do set up some code and stuff like that. It's not going to work 100% how you want it to, and you're going to end up changing it. And at what point does it become yours? At what point does boilerplate code become yours? I don't know. It's all right. So what I've got to do here is okay. If we put this out here, I've got to put this so it fits along here. So I might have 2 rows in here. So if I do a div class equals row, now I've got to change these from 4s to 6s. In that div class equals row, and div also in here div class equals alert danger. The start date cannot be earlier than the start date of the RFC. And then in that div, so these got to be 6 and 6, otherwise you're essentially missing a 4 and it just in that row. So we wait a couple of seconds, wait for this to pop up, new change task. Oh, probably not then. Thought that was going to work. Oh, damn. All right. Stand corrected. So what we're going to do is we're going to play around with this. Let's put that as 4, because we've got building blocks over here. And what I can actually do is I can essentially move this up to here and move this up to here. But where can I put this? I mean, I can put it down at the bottom like that, so it appears like that. I was hoping to get it in there. Sorry, I think I'm doing this wrong. All right. So we've got column 4. What we want here is column MD, and then that will be an 8. Then we've got a div class equals row for this section here. Sorry, this is just one of those things where you play around with the blocks until they all fall into place properly. Okay. Waiting a few seconds, hitting reload. New change task. That's what we wanted. Okay, cool. And then we do kind of want to break above. So what we're going to do is I don't have the space. So what is it called? Just got to add in ignore the static, ignore the templates, ignore the JavaScript. It is spacer. So minimum height. Oh, okay. It's just a row. So what we're going to do in our here Oh, gotta wait a couple of seconds, hit reload. I said hit reload. Something's not working. Something is... Oh, it's because I didn't finish off. Okay. This is my bad. So there's a bit of a space there, which we're happy with. Good work. So we just want to add in a VIF. So VIF equals, add that to an, sorry, I just went all over the shop then. And then when the change start date model is less than the RFC start date, and that's when we show this. And then we have an exact same one where the change end date model is greater than the RFC end date. And then this will be a class row with a div class equals spacer. In that div, let's not make that same mistake again. Div class equals alert. Let's have a look at Bootstrap. Let's just use DuckDuckGo just to go straight to it. It's an info. The end date when saved will automatically update the end date for the RFC. Waiting a couple of seconds, hitting reload. So not appearing, but if I put this to yesterday, confirm, bang. If I put this in, let's say the future. And when does the end date happen? Let's say the super future. There we go. Now, we could use CSS to override some of that and make it look nicer and stuff, but I think that will work. I don't want to be overly fussy with how it is at the moment, considering it most likely will change. So yeah, cool. That looks how I want it to look. Now we've just got to put in the formatted date. So what we're going to do, hyphen, bang bang, oops, bang bang. This is format date and then RFC start date. Make it look nice. Do the same here. Format date, RFC end date. Okay, everyone's happy. And we just hit reload. Go down here. We're like, yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Sweet. Cool. Okay. Now we've got some conditions which will prevent the add change task to actually work. So we'll have to turn that so it disappears. But first, let's just go through the code. Let's see what else we can rip out. We can now rip out all this. Screw that. Done. Because now we're simplifying this. So yeah, the idea is someone will key this in. They've got they've got 5 fields to fill in. And then they can go add change task, and they can move to the next one. So we'll have add change task, or add and close. Add change task and close, or add change task plus another. Let's have a look what other people have named these buttons. So you track.cloud. Alright, just waiting for uTrack to load up. So if I click on a new issue, it'll eventually pop up. But I got this create, but I got to drop down. So I've got to drop down where I've got create and load another. Oh. It's not a good example. Trying to think of an example where I can show you guys, but the idea is you can either create and close the modal, or you can create another, and I kind of want to hit that, be able to create another one. I mean, it won't be hard to actually do. Both of them hit different functions, but there'll be so for example, the create another one will have one function where it submits all the things and everything's fine. The other button where it creates and closes will actually hit a function that calls that original function. Once that original function is done, it will close the modal. So it's not hard to implement something like this. So I'm just thinking of names we can call it. So we want the button section. So down here we've got add change task. So create and add another would be a good one. So if we got button type equals button, class equals btn, let's do bootstrap buttons. Let's find out what another button is. Success. V on and it will be create and add another. Add and add another. Add and close modal. And that will just be closed. Yep. All right, let's go back here. Let's just hit refresh. Let's see. So you got add and close modal, add and add another. Add and create another. All right. So this one will have its own function. What it does is when you click on it, it does pretty much the exact same thing, but that original function is wrapped just around something that will just close the modal. Pretty easy. So instead of submit change task, it'll be submit and close. Submit and close. It'll pass the event through because we'll need that event. So if we go down here, method submit and close. We've got our event, what we want to actually do, and this thing is just this, submit and change task, event, we're passing it through, and then close the modal. And then in here, when we actually close the modal, we just, because it does the exact same thing. We do need to disable the modal. So if we go to bootstrap disable modal, we'll see what we can do. The reason why we want to disable the modal is when someone submits it, we want to be like, all right, cool, don't touch it just until we save it. So I'm hoping that there is a disabled. No, there isn't. All right, let's just play around with this. Modal content, element. So we just got to add in the disabled attribute. All right, so JavaScript add in disabled attribute. Well, we don't want to put it on an because we want to disable the whole entire thing. And I don't want to build up something too fancy just yet. I don't want to build up a little modal that will appear with the loading thing and then make this reappear and all that kind of stuff. That would be too complicated for the moment. After modal loading data after data, the problem is it display. I mean, I could use the field sets and all that kind of stuff, which will disable everything across all the board, all the fields and so forth like that, and then just turn that off. That might be the easiest way. All right, let's play around with it. So we've got all this data. So the model body ID equals test field set. All right. We're not doing anything overly complicated here. We'll go back down here and then we'll just go and close the div. Close the field set. I mean, I could do it at the content. I think the content would be better. Because we want to disable everything. But I don't know if this will work. Wait a couple of seconds, hit refresh. New change task. So we've got our field set in here. Somewhere. There it is. And then what we want to do is field set disabled. So everything works fine. And then let's get out our console. So var a equals document get element by ID. We just key in the ID, no biggie. And then a dot disabled equals true. The only thing that it worked for is that I need to disable everything. I am going to probably put this in as a bug because I will need to actually think about this properly. It might be one of those things where when this is loading, it actually hides most of that information and then it just pops back in. It'll be a simple if statement where on the modal body it shows this all stuff. If the state is not in a particular sort of, loading and saving data and so forth at that. So for the moment, we're going to write this in as a bug. So new issue, keying this in as a, when let's get the new terminology. Add and create another. Change task. User can interact with form whilst it is saving. All right, cool. So method 1. Log into a new page. 2, go to an active RFC. 3, create a new change task. Click on the add and submit another. Create another. Expected results form to lock up whilst the previous data is being saved. Actual results form does not lock up. User can interact with form whilst saving is going on. Once the saving has been completed, the data is reset automatically. This can annoy the user. It will definitely annoy me, especially if you've got slow internet. And we're trying to build Near Beach so it can actually handle slow internet. Okay, so priority, this is just a normal one at the moment. This is a bug. This is part of the request for change. Oh wait, this is submitted, assigned to me, request for change. Okay, and then create. But in the meantime, let's test this out. So let's reload. Let's test those two buttons. So add change task. So change task. Let's say database backup. Let's say that's fine. Let's say yep, and create another. 400. Change task. It's missing those particular fields. We actually haven't edited the Django side of things, so that's why that isn't working. So let's bump in here. Let's go up to near beach. Let's scroll down to our views. Actually, no, we'll need our forms. So in here, we're going to find out what form we're actually using. So let's just do that. This is the change task form. So we got the assigned user, we got the title, we don't have the description anymore. We've got the start date, we got the end date, we got the seconds, we don't need the required by. We've got the QA user and is downtime, we don't need anymore. So we've gotten rid of a couple of fields. So now that that's done, let's hit reload. Let's hit on new change item. Let's go backup database. Let's go this user and this user. And in the future, I'll add on some verification in here to be like, hey, you've got to add those in, so forth. So 400, we've hit another 400. Change task required by. That is commented out. Oh, there's two, isn't there? New change task required. All right, oops, I've edited the wrong one. It's this one. So we don't need, we need request for change. We need title. We don't need the description. We need the start date, end date, seconds, assigned user, QA user, and downtime is no longer needed. So if we hit that, go close, let's go create another. We've got a 500 issue now, and that's because of the view, because it's missing some data. So what we want to do is we're going to go into the views. We want the, just seeing which view we need. We need, a bit of a yawn. Oh, sorry. Use the permissions, request for change views, and line 242. So request for change. Request for change. 424 or 242. 242. So we no longer have this being. So we got the request for change. We got the title. We don't have this. We don't have this. We have this. We don't. We need the change task assigned user, QA user. We don't need required by or downtime anymore. So these can get out of here. This can get out of here. Clean up some code whilst we do it. Wait a few seconds, add or create another. We've got a 200 and it's wiped everything up here, apart from these two. So we'll need it to wipe the implementation user and the QA user. So to do that, we just go into the code. So when it gets submitted, yeah, there's just a lot of data there. So it does this to, so is downtime model, let's get rid of that. Change. So this dot The start date and date will leave the same. What fields do we want? We want the QA user and so forth like that. So I don't know what they're called. Change task assigned user. It's assigned user model equals nothing. This dot QA user model equals nothing. All right. So wait a couple of seconds, then hit reload. Let's just do our backup database. We just add in those users and we click on this and bang, it adds it in. These are new. So actually having a little loading screen might help here because it can flicker on and flicker up, telling the user, oh, I've just added this. We could also have a little status up here being like, change task, blah, has just been added, so forth like that. So let's add and close this change task. So we're doing the same sort of thing, but we're hitting this and that adds it in. So we're happy. Well, I am, at least. All right, so just checking on the time. It is almost 9 o'clock. I do have to go pretty soon. Just because I got somewhere to be tonight. All right. So I'm happy with that at the moment. It's simplified. We're only focusing on the data we currently need. And the best thing is someone might come in here and be like, all right, no, we need to change all these tasks and stuff like that. And then they can go in here and then they can be like, all right, cool, yada, yada, yada. I might actually, once again, I will rip the between dates out of here because there's more to it than what I want in here. So I might add in those examples, all that kind of stuff. So stop knocking my things off the desk. Yes. I might add in more information in here because coming in here, you'll be like, all right, cool, what about the other dates and stuff like that? And I might have a little simple table being like, all right, these are the change tasks and so forth for the other ones. And so I'll have them nicely displayed and some information around them and so forth like that. So at least you can be like, all right, cool, these are when these are starting and so forth like that. At least grab the 3 before and 3 after type of scenario. That way you can be like, all right, we need to start this task at this and so forth like that. I wouldn't mind implementing a Gantt chart for this particular, for the request for changes. So that way when people key in certain stuff, like they go to the Gantt chart and visually change the stuff around and be able to drag and drop the icons and so forth like that. But that's way off in the distance type of thing. So yeah, and then the next thing is to literally go in here and fix up this whole entire section, get this information in pat, have between this all laid out nicely. We might have multiple tabs to split this data up. So for example, a change task and the description could be on one tab, the dates could be on another, and the implementation users will be on another, and the MISC sort of stuff too. So I would think about how I would want to do that. I'm open for ideas if anyone can figure out a better way to do this. So yeah, anyway, let's rate someone else. Oops, sucks. No. There goes sucks. She's very disappointed at the moment that I literally moved her out of the way. She's trying to knock my Switch and a bunch of papers off the table at the moment. I don't know why. Alright. Because cat, yeah. Pretty much. I don't know. anyone else who's running at this particular time? Oops, sucks. Stop it. Does anyone have anyone to recommend? Otherwise, we could go to an English-Italian stream. Or I could pick this one. Or, coding, Node.js, React. Alright, let's pick this one.
We didn't mean to.
I have to put that on mute. Ooh, sucks. Careful. Yeah, alright. Off the table. There you go. No. Stop it. Alright. Let's raid the Dev Dad. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much everyone for joining tonight. It has been productive. I am sadly not streaming on Friday as I will be going to a wedding. So I will see you guys next week. And I do hope you enjoy the stream we are raiding. So yes, thank you very much and have a great weekend when that weekend finally comes.